Professor.
Say that again?
You look like a bearded professor. You can do anything you want with that look. That is really cool.
Thank you, sir.
Every time I see you, you look different.
Thank you. Well,
yeah, that's really good. I like it. I like it.
Thank you. Yes, those who have to see me and live with me every day have a different reaction.
Your wife say, "Who is this walking in the door today?"
Yeah, it's I she's in the room. I better be careful. I don't get to kiss her as often as I like to. That's one of the right. That's one of the downsides of this.
That's not good.
So how are you, Ross?
I'm fine. I'm having a good time. How you doing?
I'm good.
Your life is full, man. Your life is full.
You're not kidding. I mean, here the crazy thing about all that's going on and trying to steer a ship, right? It's like I'm like a captain of a ship. I've got all of these people that are interested in what I'm doing, involved in what I'm doing, committed to helping with what I'm doing, yourself included, right? There's all of these people that, they hear the name Solomon Tehlirian, they learned about his story, and they're suddenly very excited. And the beauty of it is it's not about me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not out here trying to elevate myself and aggrandize myself. Look at me. Look what I can do. Look how talented I am. Right. That's Hollywood is full of people like that, and the world is full of people like that. And some people are called to high callings in the public eye, etc. The beauty of this is all I'm doing is trying to tell a suppressed story, right? A critical story that's affected the world, right? International law owes its existence to Solomon Tehlirian. It's just that fact in and of itself is like, okay, I'm on to something that's important, that's bigger than me, that's more important than me, and all I have to do is point people in that direction, and they come along. So then I've got all these people that are interested in helping, and that's the case for 7 years, right? I've been doing this for 7 years, so I have people in my life that have been in my life for all 7 of those years interested in this project or wondering what's going on right now.
Right.
And so getting to this point of, trying balance, it's a balancing act. How do I can't spend all my time updating everybody on everything that's happened over the last 7 years. I just have to keep focused and nose to the grindstone and plow forward and trust that as this thing, becomes more public, as my efforts become more known, that more of those people will be satisfied with the updates, right? Like, you get this update, right? I'm grateful that we have these updates, but there's so many people that if they knew where to tune in, they would love it. And, it's just for me to keep track of all those people, that it's not the top priority. So at the very least, we have this group that are chomping at the bit to get updates.
That's right. Always.
But first, Ross, tell me how you're doing. I want updates from you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you a little piece that I'm really digging, and then I got questions for you. So I go to an Anglican church. I like the halfway point between it and Catholic Church. I really love the liturgy. I been a Protestant my whole life, and all of a sudden I realized there's this whole liturgical side to things, and it's fantastic. So about 3 years ago, I went to my pastor and I said I wanted to do a sermon, and he said, sure. So he gave me the chance. A few months ago, I said, I want to do another sermon. I feel like I got something I want to say. And he said, well, things are different now. Okay, so what's different? So apparently someone else in some other church in that diocese, somebody asked to do a sermon, and it was blasphemous city. They just really trashed it. And so,
Wow.
yeah, the I can't think of these names. The bishop, I guess, the guy above the that's in
Priest.
charge of the diocese, said he didn't say no, you can't do this, but he put together a really complex process for lay preachers, which consists now of reading 3 books on preaching and doing between 6 and 12 practice sermons. So he
Wow.
told me this, and I said, okay, I'm in.
If this is
I
the new
really,
requirement, right? If this is the new regimen, I'm in.
right. Yeah, I'm in.
Oh,
I didn't even blink because I really feel like I've got some things I want to say. So I'm in the middle of the second book, which is a book by John Stott on
ooh.
preaching. Oh man, everybody should read this book. It's a great book. So anyway, I'm really excited about that. I teach a lot. I do the show with you, or your show on Tuesdays, and I'm digging it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I 2 days ago was my birthday. Wish me happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday, Ross.
Thank you. I'm 68,
Okay, I was
and I
going to
feel
ask.
like,
Can I ask? And you just
yeah,
said
you can ask. I don't care. Doesn't matter.
68 years young. Good to see
Well,
you.
I feel like, I
You
realize
don't
that.
look 68, dude. I'm telling you. I'd
Thank
put you
you.
at 58.
Good.
Seriously.
Feel like in many ways I'm just getting started. For a long time I didn't know what I was doing or who I was, or messed up a lot of stuff, and now I just feel like I'm on the track that God has me on. And so, there it is. It can happen. Just stay with it, and I'm really enjoying it. So anyway, that's the main thing that's going on with me.
Before you ask me any questions,
Yeah.
do you think Moses, when he was out in the desert tending sheep, and he was like 79, right? When he's like 79, he's out tending sheep. He's like, I guess this is it.
Yeah. Oh,
This is
yeah.
it. I'm gonna just kind of have my wife and kids and some sheep, and then lo and behold, why is that bush on fire?
Yeah. I got to check that out. Or Sarah, 99 years old and has a kid. It
Mm-hmm,
changes the world.
mm-hmm.
It's never too late for this stuff if we just keep our hearts open.
Yep.
So,
All right.
so
You
Gina
have
gave
specific
me,
questions for me, Gina?
Gina said, ask Michael whatever you want. And to this moment, I don't know what I want to ask you. I had 2 completely different tracks. So, okay, here's where I'm going to go. Michael and Travis and I almost never talk about politics on our show. You guys talk about politics all the time. I got a political question for you that's a little different than where you guys usually go. I want to talk about, and I don't have all the answers to this. I do have a train that I think I want to get on and is going in the right direction. But here's my question. For the person who is a follower of Jesus Christ, should we think about and engage politics? And here's what I'm thinking about specifically. I've always felt like there's a lot of places that the Christian can get stuck on. Like, what's the ideal? The ideal, the perfection, the thing that's the best we can do is to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ that's so overwhelming to us that it just bleeds out in everything that we do, with the people that we care about, with the world that we engage with. And one of the ways in which that happens is politics. But a lot of people, I think, and me included, can get almost there and get stuck on something else. For me, it was for a long time, it was apologetics. I loved scientific apologetics and Hugh Ross and all of that stuff. Some people can
That's
actually
how we know each other. That's how you
that's
and I
right.
know each other. Yeah.
Some people can get stuck at even the Bible, right? They're really good. They know the Bible, but they don't know Christ. And I think, Michael, what happens is we can do the same with politics. We can say, this is who I'm going to vote for, and this is why, because he represents biblical principles better than the other guy. But here's a question for the audience, and that is, imagine that every candidate that you wanted to be not elected got elected, and we had every elected candidate in the country was of the party that you wanted it to be, and it was politically perfect. We're still going to have, fallen, sinful, selfish human beings in those political offices. So tell me what you think of this. How are we supposed to engage politics as believers in Christ when what we want is deeper than that?
Well, we're gonna solve the nation's issues right here in 19 minutes. No, just
Yeah.
kidding. So, number one, there's this false notion that Jesus was not political. All right, there's
Correct.
this false notion that, oh, I don't do politics. I just love Jesus. I just read the Bible. I just go to church. And it's a fundamental ignorance of Christianity itself,
I'm
because
agreeing with you. Yeah.
Jesus, the very expression Jesus is Lord, we say it today. It's like, Jesus is my Lord. We don't even know what the word Lord means in our culture. We don't use the word Lord in our culture. We have no grasp of what the word means. We just know it as a phrase in the Bible. But when they were saying Jesus is Lord, it's the time when Caesar was Lord.
Right.
The commander of the universe, right? The guy in charge of the world was called Lord. And to say Jesus is Lord at that time was to put a target on your forehead, right? Jesus is Lord is a political statement, period. It's a political statement before it's a religious statement.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right.
Right? Before it's a religious statement. We think of it as a religious statement. It's not. When it was coined, it was Caesar's not Lord, Jesus is Lord, right? You leave off the first part because saying Jesus is Lord, it is implied that Jesus is Lord as opposed to Caesar.
Yes.
That's why he was killed, right? That's why they targeted him, right?
That's right.
He's going to undermine our relationship with Caesar. That's literally why he was crucified. It was a political act. Jesus' crucifixion was politics. It was politics. So anybody that says, I don't follow politics, it's not my thing, I don't care about it, it's too divisive. Yeah, Jesus said, I did not come to bring peace. Right? Politics is divisive. Jesus said, I did not come to bring peace. I came to bring division between family members, between brother and sister, right? That's what Jesus, in the gospel. So politics is unavoidable. Politics is the gospel, because Jesus didn't come to save just everything but the political sphere, right?
So how does the Christian do politics then, Michael? How do we do this?
Okay.
In an appropriate way.
Another confusion that people have is this phrase, separation of church and state, right? And that there's the secular state, right? The non-religious state. There's this misunderstanding that means secularism is not a religion or is not religious. It's like godless, right? It's like not a secularism is just as much a church as any denomination, right?
Yes.
They enforce, thou shalt not talk about God in public, right? Right? Thou shalt not read the Bible in the classroom, right? Those are commandments of a religious sect. It's just a bunch of people in white lab coats or whatever, right? So we are designed to worship and have a God, right? We are designed to worship. It's not what, it's which, right? It's not if, it's which one. And so the secular state, people thinking, so when prayer was taken out of schools, there's this transition in our culture of a rapid decline, right? And we can track all those things. So take God out of the classroom, take prayer out of schools, and homosexuality and abortion and transgenderism, all of those things rise, right? Since we're not praying anymore, we're doing what? We're being secular, we're being godless, right? And so the thing is, God designed the separation of church and state. So it's a misunderstanding among Christians. It's like, oh, the church and the state shouldn't be separated. That's ungodly. No, no, no. God designed the Levites, that's the priesthood, and then the kingship, the line of, the kings over Israel, right? Those are two separate institutions. But what is not to be separate, and separation of church and state just means not an official denomination, right? The United States of America is now going to be the Catholic nation, and everybody must obey the Catholic Church.
Right.
That's what the separation of church and state means. It never meant the separation of God and state. It never meant the separation of morality and state. How are you going to be a legislator making laws? Laws are legislated morality. Every law passed is someone enforcing their opinion, their moral beliefs, right? Every legislation passed is an enforcement of someone's morality. So
That's
people come and say,
exactly right. That's exactly right.
and
And
so
it was
whose morality are we going to enforce? Right?
John Adams, who said this country was never intended for a Christian nation. You're exactly right. Every set of laws ever made promotes some ethos or ethic or morality behind it.
So whose morality should be pushed, right? It's like, if you're a secular state, what are you pushing? Whatever the godless want, right?
Right.
So we are a Christian nation, and all of our politicians should love Jesus, right? Everybody should love Jesus. That's fundamental. Well, if everybody should love Jesus, then all of our politicians should love Jesus. So there are people that fear this notion of Christian nationalism, right? Christian nationalism, as opposed to what other kind of nationalism, right? You want Hitlerian nationalism, right? You want communist nationalism. What kind of nationalism? Christian nationalism, as you just mentioned, in John Adams and the founding fathers, fully understood. These were believers, and they escaped the oppression of the state Church of England, right? That they're like, they're doing it wrong. They're pretending they're God. They're doing all these things in the name of God and enforcing it by the Church of England. We need freedom. Come to the United States. They were Christians wanting to worship freely, and so the Constitution, the drafting of the Constitution, they said this will only work in not so many terms. This will only work if the people following it are Christian. It was like presupposed, because they were all Christian. They assumed that this nation would continue, and it was an unwritten thing. Like, we are Christian. Let's design something that will work for Christians to love one another. And so all of that said, I don't know if I've even answered your question.
It's okay. It's going to take more than this show to answer this question.
Well, because, okay, Donald Trump was chosen by God, right? Donald Trump is not the, did you hear that voice in the background? Did you hear a voice?
Yeah.
Did you hear what she said?
No.
Okay. But my wife said Biden as well, right? And I agree 100%, right? Biden was chosen by God as well. But what were they chosen for is the question. Why did God lift up Trump and then lift up Biden? And now we have this perfect contrast. Like, God designed this. Like, none of this is a surprise to God. God is not surprised that some lunatic tried to kill Trump. He's not surprised. It's like a part of the plan, so that you can have this contrast of a weak ruler next to a strong ruler, right? You have the presidential debates where Trump is standing next to Biden, and Biden can't get a sentence out, and he's hemming and hawing. And now everybody, even the Democrats, realize Joe Biden's not the president. He's not in charge. That man does not have his finger on the nuclear button. That man is not making decisions. He can't even complete a sentence. Literally, the whole world, the Democrats are like, our cover has been exposed. This puppet that we've put in place, that we've kept hidden, can't be hidden anymore. So we have the weak ruler right next to a man who almost loses his life that nor any other person would be like scrambling and keeping cover and trying to run out of there safely. Instead, he tells the Secret Service, "Stop, wait." And he thrusts up his fist and says, "Fight." This is a man who almost, like a hair's breadth, almost lost his life.
Yeah.
And what I've been hearing from historians, when this happens, not just to presidents, but to great people that survive such close assassination attempts, they have like a religious experience. They realize that the presence of God has just spared their
Yeah.
life. They
Yeah.
realize that I should be dead right now. And all reports are that this is what happened to Trump, that he's even rewriting the speech that he's going to be giving tomorrow night. Instead of being combative, it's going to be unifying. It's like this is a wake-up call for him
Right.
and for the nation. And so we've just now seen strength in action. His instincts have always been he's a successful businessman for a reason. He's got good instincts, and his instincts were not to flee in fear, but to stand up and say, "Don't let them take your nation away from you like they just tried to take me." Right? He represents the people that see their nation being. We can't walk down the street and say, um, boys are boys and girls are girls, and you might get canceled, you might get arrested. You can literally in the nation today,
I
if you
know.
say no, 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 there's no such thing as a boy turning into a girl. If you say that, you can lose your job, you can go to jail, you'll certainly be canceled in public. Wait a second, how insane has this world gotten in a few short years?
Yeah.
Just 4 years ago, or maybe say 10 years ago, you say, can a boy become a girl? And everybody's going, are you crazy? Today, it's literally flipped. That's the time we're living in. And that's the time that God has appointed such a radical, uncouth person as Donald Trump. As much as it pains me to say he's God's man, he's God's man, right? God chooses who he will to make changes in the universe, right? In the world. And that's who is the man for the time. He's going to be president. Our country's going to return to the economic strength that it had. The corruption in the government's going to be rooted out. The investigation of the failure of the Secret Service. Like this is there's only two options for this assassination attempt. It's either the Secret Service was complicit or it was a cataclysmic failure of the
Yes.
only thing they're supposed to do. They're supposed to keep that man alive, and they almost failed, right? This exposed the DEI initiatives in the Secret Service. You have a woman that can't possibly throw her body in front of Trump because he's 6'4" and she's 5'3", right? She's going to protect the president. That's the DEI corruption of these initiatives. What's the Secret Service's job? Not to have as many women as men in the Secret Service. That's not the job of the Secret Service. The Secret Service is to protect presidents.
With
Right?
whoever is the best qualified to do that.
Exactly. You need the best and the brightest, and that's going to be your big, strong men that will lay down their lives for this man, not a woman who's going to duck out of the way. I'm sorry. It's just right. Our country is being restored right before our eyes, and it's crazy how the lines have been very clearly drawn. Billionaires who gave money to Obama just pledged their full fealty to Donald Trump. Billionaires who
And I
pledged
just
to Obama pledged their full fealty to Donald Trump. Like what?
and
Crazy.
I just saw an article last night that said that Nancy Pelosi is working the phones to try to get the president to resign or not run for a second term. It's like this world is upside down.
Just in a few short weeks.
Let me go back to something you said. You said that when this happens, when people are almost assassinated, it changes them. It also, Michael, creates a political moment for them. And if they understand it, they can take advantage of it in a way that unifies and brings people together. And so you're right. The clues are that Trump understands this and maybe will show us a little bit of humility and something about unifying the country. And I think if he can knock this speech out of the park, he will be president.
Yeah.
He's got to understand that this is his moment. Don't screw it up.
Tomorrow night, is hands down going to be the most watched speech in history, right? The most watched campaign speech in history, because it's Donald Trump who was just almost assassinated, right? And this one of the things that you and I can't know, but from the testimony of the people that were there. Here's a thing that we can't experience, but the people that were there were gifted something. The people that were present at the attempted assassination, the gift that they received was they were surrounded by a bunch of people who didn't flee at the sound of gunshots, right? In any other crowd, gunshots happen, the crowds flee. They are freak out, and everybody wants to get away as quickly as possible. Not so in this case. Everyone stood their ground in unison, in solidarity, in a moment of fear, stood their ground, and Donald Trump, in a moment of fear, rose up, put that fist in the air, and said, "Fight, fight, fight." That's what
One
you
of the
want
great
from a
pictures of all
leader,
time. Yeah.
right? And it's the moment that all those people experience that represent you and I, right? These are people that love Jesus, that love America, and plenty of them say crazy, stupid things, just like humans do. Pardon? I love my sounding board, right? I have to check myself. Not all of them are Christians, obviously.
Yeah. I want to say one thing that's sort of where I want to go. I've got a couple of minutes here to answer my question myself. I'm really big on this thing here, what I'm going to say. I think as followers of Christ, we need to realize that we need to represent Christ, not just in the end result, but in the process, in the way that you do it. It's like you're trying to represent Jesus in not just by telling the story, but in the way that you get there. And so when the biggest sin that we can commit in speaking about politics as followers of Jesus Christ is when we get judgmental. And we, in our heart, hate, look down on, judge the other person. It's a difficult thing to define, but we know it when we do it. And I do it. It's a natural tendency. We all do it. And what I want to challenge everybody with is, if you don't want Joe Biden to be president, do you still pray for him? Is there a sense in which you love him because he's created by God and he's created in his image, and you pray that the decisions he makes are honoring to God, and you pray that he comes to know God, know Christ personally? It's really hard to judge a person when you're praying for them.
Yep. Oh, good point. Yes.
And so, what does it mean to love everybody? It's not a namby-pamby, easy way out kind of thing. It's hard work. It's really hard. And I have to come against my own judgmental attitudes to be able to do that. But, the world is watching. And
I'm glad you bring that up, because that is really the proof that Christianity is not a human invention. Right?
Yes.
To pray for your persecutors, to pray for your enemies, to love your enemies. That doesn't make any human sense in any world system. Doesn't make any human sense. It's the proof that Christianity is God breathed. It's God's design. And praying for Joe Biden. Here's the thing. Joe Biden has done good things. Right, he's done some good things. Right, he's done bad things. He's done good things. Same with Trump.
He recognized the genocide.
Exactly. That's the case in point. Here's the thing. I better not say this out loud, but that guy from World War II, he did some good things also. Right? Volkswagens, the whole company of Volkswagen, that was his decision. Let's make Volkswagens, and nobody blames Volkswagens for being Nazi cars. Right? It was a good design. Right? So every evil person has also done good, and Jesus died for Adolf Hitler. Right?
That's right.
And if he gave his heart to Jesus in those last seconds, he's in heaven, right? And
That's
that's
right.
hard for people to wrap their minds around. Donald Trump is not evil as he's been portrayed. He's just their whipping boy while they do things undercover, right? It's like somehow Donald Trump is the most evil human. No, it's a platform for an opposition party to run on, right?
That's right.
We've gone over time. We've gone over
And
time.
real quick, the world is watching. When we are judgmental and hateful as Christians towards the people that we oppose politically, it shows and it makes us look bad. And we're sinning when we do that.
Amen. Happy 68th birthday, Ross. Oh my gosh. I love you, brother.
Love you, man. Good to be on the show as always. Next
Good
time
to
we'll
see you.
talk about the other things.
We got to get dinner or something sometime. All right.
Yep. All right, man.
Bye, everybody.